There's some pretty fierce debate raging in the Senate now. It's not about detention laws, it's about IR. Joining me now is the Assistant Trade and Manufacturing Minister, Tim Ayres. Canberra full of surprises this week. Tony Burke with a surprise this morning. He's struck a deal for these IR laws. So what is the deal, Tim Ayres? Can you talk us through it?
Well, it's pretty straightforward. I'm delighted that we're able to bring this legislation to the Senate. I do expect it to pass today. It does mean that the IR bill is being split, and today we will pass a series of measures that are going to change people's lives for many Australian workers, are going to make work better. So there's a series of pieces of legislation there that go to questions of detail around the treatment of workers suffering from PTSD who are frontline emergency workers. There is a range of changes there that put silica within the purview of the Asbestos Eradication Agency. The big ticket item here, of course, is that Labor's same job, same pay laws will pass the Senate, and I expect will be dealt with very quickly by the House of Representatives today. That is a legislative reform that we took to the election. It will mean that labour hire workers who've been paid lower than their colleagues doing exactly the same work will now be treated fairly and can look forward to a fair pay arrangements for them. It's part of our overall industrial relations package, and it's a very good thing for Australia.
And some of that has been hived off, but are you really ignoring some of Australia's biggest employers that say, as a result of these laws passing, they will have to lay off workers?
Well, there's claims, heated claims being made by some employer lobby groups who are determined opponents.
Yeah, but these are big businesses themselves as well. They're not just lobby groups. The likes of BHP, for one example.
Well, of course, if a business has been engaging labour hire workers on lower wages in areas like Central Queensland, where mining workers have been working for year after year after year, in arrangements that have undermined the collective agreements that have been struck at that workplace. So one group of workers on good arrangements supported by genuine collective bargaining, but been undermined by a strategy of employing people on contrived labour hire arrangements that undermine wages and conditions, and put one group of workers in a very difficult position on labour hire, lower wages. Makes it harder for them to buy a home, harder for them to look after their kids.
Yeah.
We are going to fix that. We're going to fix that situation up. It is not fair. And if you go to Central Queensland or to the Hunter Valley, where these arrangements have been put in place, you talk to workers who have been, kept out of decent wages by these arrangements. The support for this in the community is so strong. In our big cities too, where we're not opposed here to labour hire arrangements. There are appropriate labour hire arrangements out there that mean that employers can deal with surge capacity and all sorts of issues. But what this legislation will do is mean that people are paid fairly and equally and treated in a way that I think most Australians would agree is decent.
Sure, but if the unemployment rate goes up next year and the next couple of months as a result of this, that's something that you're willing to own?
Well, the unemployment rate will move. It
hasn't moved in a long time.
We are delighted. To see that not only is unemployment at historically low levels, but 620,000 jobs created under this government in the last 18 months.
Sure.
That is more than any other government in Australian history.
I know, but if these big businesses are saying they're going to lay off people, whether it's in the dozens or the hundreds, I mean, is that the quid pro quo? You're willing to accept that how it happens?
Well, let's not gloss over 620,000.
No, I'm not glossing over that, but I'm just saying if some of the biggest employers are saying, well, as a result of these laws, they're going to sack people, do you accept that that might be a reality and that's just the price you've got to pay for the greater good?
Well, some firms are saying that now. But in truth, we need to have a set of industrial relations arrangements that support equal pay, the same job, same pay arrangements.
Okay.
These kind of low road arrangements undermine productivity.
But what about the
undermine
casualisation?
cohesive workplaces.
I mean, your government has talked about not wanting, really limiting the ability for small businesses to employ casual workers. That's been hived off to next year. Will you drop it now?
Oh, absolutely not. There will be. We are delighted with the progress we've made
Senate, though,
this year. At the end of the year, we will be engaging very directly with the crossbench and more broadly across the economy. Going to keep engaging with the employers and with the unions and with others on that other set of changes. You're quite right, and I'm glad you raised it. Those issues around casual conversion, giving more casual workers access to permanent work, and also much needed reforms in the gig economy, that I think there is broad agreement, including with the majority of the new platform gig employers, that we need to see reform in this area. We will be back in the Parliament in February, dealing with those questions. We've got agreement on the crossbench to do that. I'm just absolutely delighted that we've seen the Senate work really well this week. I'm pleased that we've had cooperation with the coalition to move through these important pieces of reform to deal with the High Court decisions and make sure that we've actually got constitutionally safe legislation now to keep the Australian community safe. I'm glad we dealt with that early, and we've got the whole day now today to make sure
you've had
that we get this reform right.
To gloat. We've got to cut it there. Thanks, Tim Ayres. Really appreciate your time.